Welcome to the Greenburgh Student News Network. My name is Riley M. and I am a student at Edgemont High School. Today we'll be exploring the Fairview Fire Department.
I'm Blake Feinstein with Greenburgh Student News Network, and today we're at the Fairview Fire Department interviewing
Deputy Chief Primerano.
So can you explain a bit about your job and what you do here?
Okay, so I'm one of 4 deputy fire chiefs for the Fairview Fire District. Above us is the chief of the department. There are 4 separate groups within our department. Each deputy chief is in charge of a specific group. So my job as a deputy fire chief is to not only oversee operations at any emergency scene we go to, but to make sure my crew keeps up on their training, make sure the day-to-day operations go smooth, and handle anything that comes our way.
I assume you were a firefighter, just
Yes.
a standard level. How does the rank level work, and how did you get to the job you have today?
Okay. So in order to get hired as a firefighter, there's a civil service examination, and Westchester County sets the date and time for that. So you take that test, you take a written exam, and then after the written exam, you get put on a list, all right? And then the chief and the commissioners for the department will look down and say, okay, let's try interviewing these people, all right? And then it just goes from there. If you do well in the interview, you get sent for a physical. If you pass that, they're going to offer you a job. All right, so then you go to the fire academy, which is several weeks. I believe when I went, it was 6 weeks. I believe we're up to 18, maybe even 21 weeks now for the academy. It's a long school. And then when you get out of there, you're really, as a firefighter, brand new firefighter, you're just learning this job. You're learning how the specific department does things. And then with that, you get the opportunity to go to training. And then as you get better and more knowledgeable, the next step is to take a test to be a fire captain. If you do well enough on that and you're fortunate enough to get promoted to that, then you work directly underneath the deputy fire chief. And you're directly above the firefighters for the group. And then as that time goes on, if you want to take the next step and try to get promoted to deputy fire chief, that's where I am now. The next step after this would be chief of department.
All right, guys, so we're going to get to the best part. We're going to get you guys in the bucket. So we're going to do 2 at a time. All right, so we'll take you 2. All right, not afraid of heights? All right, so we're going to get you guys in harnesses. We'll use the harnesses off of our engine. Who's going up first? These 2. We're going to get you guys in a harness system. All right, you want to get it on them?
You broke it?
It's like regular. Remember the battery safety thing?
Oh, there we go.
Don't use that one.
No.
That's the extra large one. And we
I think I'll fit into that.
we put one of our guys in who's like my size, and he was swimming in it. And we're like, all right. Good. Blue one. All right. We got one piece, so come on out here.
You got the helmet?
So this is our ladder. This is what is considered a tower ladder. It has a bucket on it. So some ladder apparatus that you may see don't have this on here. What this will do is makes it easier for us to get up to a building. A lot of apartment buildings, it makes it easier to walk out of. At the end here, we have 2 different types of nozzles. So if a fire does get very big, we'll use those nozzles to squirt water down on top of a fire. We always can't get to the fire because it might be what's considered dangerous conditions inside. So those waters will be able to go from the top down and make our life a lot easier. Other things we'll use this ladder for, and as it keeps going up, you're going to see that there's 2 hooks on the bottom of it. We'll use those for different types of rescues where we can hook our ropes up to that and create a mechanical advantage using that as a high point, so we can lift people out of holes. We can use it for people who are down in embankments. Makes our life a lot easier and a lot safer using the bucket to use as an anchor. This ladder will go 100 feet. Right now, I think they're going to be right about 30 to 40 feet up in the air. With this ladder also, and in the bucket where they are, you have access to fresh air. So if we need to breathe in, just like we'd breathe in from our Scott packs, we can do that in our bucket so we don't waste all of our air. What the other advantages of this ladder is it makes people rescuing victims a lot easier. Walking into a bucket opposed to walking down a ladder is a lot easier. And as you saw, the bucket will come right down to the ground, so it makes everyone's life easier. So the ladder, we test it weekly. Every single week it goes up, gets spun around, it gets put through its paces. On call wise, we've used it, actually it was used today. We had to go onto a roof of a building, a school in the district, to check a heating and air conditioning unit. So it's used multiple times a week. It all depends on how busy we are. So some calls we might have it in certain days, we might have a lot of them. Right now, with the weather starting to get a little cooler, we might get a little bit more because a lot of store businesses have heating units on the roof. So we need to get up there if they smell gas. A lot of them calls are from the roof, so we use our bucket to get up there, and makes everybody's life a lot easier to go on a bucket instead of climbing ladders. It is also unique because it is a tower ladder. There's not many tower ladders around the county. They also make what's called a ladder tower. This is considered a ladder tower because we can actually climb the ladder. A tower ladder, you won't be able to actually climb the ladder part. So this is a dual purpose ladder for us. So if this is up in the air and they're up there for an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours, dumping water on a fire that might happen, we can replace people out that are up there by just climbing the ladder and getting people changed out.
Those are very challenging. Solar panel roofs present a big challenge to us. That's that new landscape I was talking about earlier with the batteries and things of that nature. That presents a whole different challenge. We can't cut those roofs. We can't vent those roofs. And it's a possibility of us getting a shock and having other issues with that. And they run live wires down that we kind of can't shut the power to. So that's just another dynamic of challenges that we face.
Also, this is a unique apparatus because it does have a pump on here and has hoses. So if for some reason this is the only one around, this could actually put a fire out as well as putting the ladder to the roof.
These breathing air connections also connect to these big tanks on the side of the bucket. It'll give us more breathable air than what our pack and our bottle on our pack is going to allow. So you could be in the bucket much longer. You could be in the smoke, if the smoke blows your way, much longer, in this bucket.
So right now they're going to come right down to the ground. What this is called is negative degrees. So that means it can go below the apparatus. As you can see, we're all flat here, but if you can imagine there's an embankment and we need to go down, this ladder can go down the embankment and help people walk back up a hill if there's a car accident that they went down the embankment. The other funny part is the tennis balls. So you'll see the tennis balls on the bottom of the ladder. That's used so that we know it's getting close to the roof. Right when it's getting close to the roof, you're going to see those tennis balls touch. That tells us that we're at the roof. We don't want to be on the roof because when it bounces, it could damage the roof. So that's why we like to be just a little bit off so that if it does move, because we're wearing lots of gear, we are, equipped with different equipment that'll makes going to the roof a lot safer, so we're not damaging as much stuff as possible.
How was the trip?
It was good. So much fun. Hi, I'm Ramita Mojaza with the Greenburgh Student News Network, and I'm here with
Firefighter Mendola.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So being a firefighter is obviously like a very consuming job. Like you guys are first responders. So how do you guys, and you work 24-hour shifts, so how do you guys handle the burnout that comes with the job naturally?
I would say we lean on each other. When one of us is kind of struggling, you know, we're up sometimes all night, you know, all day, we're out and about going to calls, training, getting the regular house duties done. But what really helps us power through, I think, the more difficult times and more difficult calls is, you know, being a crutch for one another, whether it's at the firehouse, after the firehouse, whether we go to a difficult call. You know, it really is the best job in the world, like hands down, and you'll hear that from any firefighter. And what makes that true and special is the family dynamic that it brings, that's unique, you know, and uncomparable to any other job ever. And like I said, you know, there are times I get tired, it's 2 a.m, the boss says, you gotta go up to the roof, and you have all these tools, and you have to check this and that, you know, and your buddy's right there, and he's maybe at that moment a little bit, you know, more fresh or fresher. Just being able to see that, him turn around and be like, come on, let's go, you know,
Sure.
gives you that,
Pumps you up.
it gives you that pump, yeah, like we, you know, we're gonna do this.
Well, that's
So,
great.
yeah, it's very,
How do you manage like your work and life balance, like your life outside of work?
so, I prioritize here, you know, for me personally. So my work-life balance, it's tough because, you know, when you sign up for this job, you're joining, you know, and again, it's very different than any other job, but you're joining, like I said, a family, like a firehouse. So this job prioritizes itself. So, you know, there have been times where I've been out to dinner with my significant other and I'll get a call, or even my family. More recently, there was a big flood and we had just gone out to dinner and just ordered, and I'm like, you know, we gotta go. So it's tough, but this place has to be prioritized because, you know, of the people that we work for. So it's a little bit challenging, more than most other jobs, I would say, but you know, there is time for family, friends, you know, time to you know, family time and things like that. So it kind of just happens, it divides itself. But yeah, because all the guys love this job, it is easy to just, you know, come to work and help the people you're here with. Exactly.
Yeah. What like fire safety tips or advice do you have for people?
The highest priority kind of now in this changing landscape of a world that we're facing as firefighters, I would say, are e-batteries. You know, they're becoming more and more prominent on our calls and more of a regular challenge. And I think that industry itself is developing as we're trying to figure out how to combat the issues. So, you know, whether it's in a phone, a device to power a toy, or in a car, you know, we see that whole spectrum, and I would just try to be as responsible as possible. Don't charge your phone in your bed, you know, don't, right, which is common, right? But, you know, it could expose issues, you know, and a fire. You know, a lot of those batteries, you know, now there are 1,000 different chargers for 1,000 different batteries. A lot of people are trying to shove in the wrong battery into the wrong charger. That most definitely will present a risk. So with, like I said, today's landscape and the tech coming into our bedrooms, I would be cautious about that. Read the instructions, take your time. If it's damaged at all, wires are frayed, better to stick an error on the safe side and expose of it properly, rather than just try to make it work.
All right, so like I said earlier, you know, how intimate we are with the equipment and how close proximity we are to the equipment. We have our communications, the trucks where we train, and now I could show you guys the heart and soul of the firehouse, which is the kitchen, right? So let's go. All right, so right next to the trucks, we have the kitchen, and everything's kind of a little bit more industrial, a little bit bigger than your average kitchen, right? So like we sleep together and we train together, right? We eat together. So we all sit at this table, elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder, and we eat. Same thing with cooking, right? So we have our industrial sized, you know, stove and oven and things like that. And these guys are getting ready now to make dinner for all of us. So through the training and everything, the most important thing, right, is energy. You got to get fed pretty good. Like MTV Cribs, I'll show you what's in the fridge. Right, just like a fridge at home. Right, we have all of our condiments and chicken and things like that. Salad, we have a salad over there. So this is where we do a lot of training too. We talk about a lot of challenging calls and things like that.
Out of all the things that you do in your job, what do you think is the most rewarding part of the job, and what's the most challenging?
So for rewarding, when somebody calls the fire department, chances are they're not having the best day. Okay. And by nature, firefighters are problem solvers. We go to a scene to try and solve something, to help people, you know, put a fire out, help them if they're sick, try to diagnose something that's wrong with one of their appliances. Right? The rewarding part is when we are able to help them and you receive thanks for them. You feel good that you were able to help them. They're very appreciative of it. That's the rewarding part, whether they're a little child all the way up to a senior adult. The challenging part for me, and as discussed before, is being able to get what I want done during the day, or what I need to get done. There's a certain number of hours these guys have to do of training every year. And it's my responsibility to make sure that happens. But if I can't get it done today, then I have to try to get it done the next shift we come in. So I would have to say that the most challenging part is making sure that everything they need to be trained on, they get trained on.
Great. Can you describe like what a typical day looks like for you?
So on my way in the morning, I'm driving down the parkway thinking about all the things I'm not going to be able to get a chance to do because of just how busy we can be here. But a typical day for me is I get here, I assign all the firefighters where they're going to be for that day, which piece of apparatus they're going to be on, whether they're driving, whether they're riding it. After that, I take a look at the event schedule for the day. Do we have any fire prevention details, school visits, building inspections to make sure they're safe? And then I have to plan my day around that and any training I want to get done with the crew that day. And then with that, there's a certain amount of paperwork, just day-to-day paperwork. And then each deputy fire chief and every officer here is in charge of a specific thing, whether it's making sure the house and grounds are okay. To make sure, like for me personally, I'm in charge of the protective gear we wear, the coats, the helmets, the boots. Right? So there's a fair amount of paperwork with that. And then for any emergency calls we go on, I have to type up the report for that call. So there's a long list of things that need to be done, and it takes up like most of your time.
So one thing before we start showing everything, this picture here is very important to us. This is a 343 firefighters that died on 9/11. It was put up here right after 9/11. It stays up here, and it will stay up here for however long the building stands, and we'll move it to the new building. But it shows us and reminds us that this job is very dangerous, We always remember everybody that's gone before us, and we remember everything about them. So this year is very important to us. We walk by it 20, 30 times a day, and you always take a look at it. You remember what they did, and you remember everything about them.
So this is what we call our apparatus floor. This is where we keep our apparatus. So right through this door was where we were upstairs in our dorm, during the evenings where we would be napping. But most of the time we're down here among the fire trucks. In that room, I'll show you guys, we have a kitchen, which is that way. Right out here is our communications room. So we're very intimate with the trucks and the work we do. We're always in the mix, never too far from the fire trucks and things like that. So here we have Utility 7, which is for today our frontline car or apparatus. This will be the first one to get to the scene. This is just a regular pickup truck, but it's kind of outfitted a little bit differently. We have our radios, we have our lights and sirens up here. In the back, we have our air packs, our cameras that could detect heat, so it could kind of see through smoke, for lack of a better word. And in the back, I could show you guys, we have a few more tools back here. So we have our extinguishers, our medical bags, our AED, and a few more tools. So this particular apparatus would be the first one to get to a call, and also carries the deputy chief, so it would be our command vehicle, right? It would get there first, assess the scene, and communicate back to the rigs. That may take a little bit longer, kind of what we have going on, so we could better place these trucks, because that's also another critical part of the success of fighting a fire or a car accident or a car fire or anything like that.
Were you ever a volunteer firefighter?
I was, actually.
How did you kind of transform from doing that to being like a paid firefighter?
So I was a volunteer firefighter here for 10 years before I became a career member. And even before that, I was a junior member for quite some years. And just being in this firehouse and the camaraderie and the sense of family really drove me to that goal of becoming a career firefighter. So with that, there's an exam, a written exam that's pretty competitive, a physical exam as well that is challenging. And I did both of those, and after you do that, you get interviewed, and you interview among a bunch of other guys that pass both of those, and I did whatever I had to do to follow kind of the dream to becoming a career firefighter and being able to do this, for my for everything.
What are parts of the physical exam that you saw as challenging? Because being a firefighter is obviously a physically draining job. So what were parts of that you struggled with?
So I would say the ladders part. A lot of the other guys had a difficult time in the, what we call like the mass confidence portion, which are really tight spaces that kind of prepare us for collapses or trying to get people out of really tight, confined spaces. I had a little bit more trouble with the heights. They have you climb ladders kind of to nowhere, which is not normal in your everyday. So I find that very challenging. But we had great teachers. We go to an academy that kind of preps you for about 20 weeks now, 21 weeks, and we had spectacular instructors that really prep you mentally, physically, and give you the courage to be able to do the job that needs to be done for the community.
Thank you so much.
Camera shy too, right?
10 out of 10.
Seems great.
She's doing really good. I like the way you're asking questions.